Mindful Life Practice Community.
Good morning and welcome to Mindful Flow, formerly known as Gentle Flow. Um, Still me. We'll get started today on our backs. So if there are any props that will make this a more comfortable start for you, then I invite you to bring those along with you. I actually forgot to do a sound check. If somebody can just give me a thumbs up so that I know that you can hear that, okay, that I'm doing things. Yes. So I like to bring pillows or a bolster underneath my knees and sometimes a blanket or towel under my lower back. And then as you get started in this shape, just notice whether or not that feels okay. Does having something under your knees alleviate the pressure on your lower back? And if not, do you need to bring something else or just change the shape? And so that may look like bending the knees, bringing the soles of feet to the mat, or just adding some additional propping or changing the shape altogether. And allow your knees to fall out to the side, your feet to relax and just kind of fall wherever they'd like. Maybe your arms are long by your side, palms face up, or you may feel inspired to bend at the elbows and have your palms still facing up towards the ceiling, but your fingers reaching in the opposite direction. Maybe push down into the floor with the back of your head and give yourself some space to slide your shoulder blades in towards one another and see if that offers you any additional support that you may not be finding in the shape as it is. And then just notice if your palms are facing up to the ceiling, if that feels okay. If you're looking for some connection, perhaps you consider bringing the palms of your hands to your chest or your belly or your thighs or just really anywhere where they decide they want to be right now. And then take a few rounds of breath, just at whatever rate you're currently breathing, or maybe experiment with the idea of taking in some really deep breaths. And then just maybe even opening your mouth and just letting it all naturally come out. And just allow anything that you are holding on to that you don't desire to continue holding on to just leave your body with each exhale that you take for the next few moments. Notice how you're arriving on your mat today. How's your body feeling? Is it tired? Is it sore or holding on to any tension? How are you feeling energetically? Are you just waking up? Are you energized because of the day's activities? Just noticing what you're working with today and what you want to work with today. Notice any thoughts that may be popping up and not doing anything about them, just gently noticing. If you were in the mood to set an intention today, then I invite you to do that now. And if something pops up automatically, then that may be your mind or your body's signal that that's what you want to focus on. And if you're looking for some inspiration, then perhaps you can think about how just making it to your mat today helps you to disrupt the cycle of any stress or stresses that you may be experiencing in your life. And that could be good stress or stressful stress. And how just showing up on your mat, regardless of what you do from now until the end of practice, helps you to just sort of hit the reset button on your day. Maybe even consider how you can take those things with you off the mat in the event that you ever need them. I tend to forget as we get into the hustle and bustle of living and then doing things for others, that there are these tools that we learn to employ in yoga, of focusing on the breath and turning inward, taking a moment for movement, that are really effective for me in setting my reset button. But it's not always as easy to remember to do that in the moment. So maybe we think about that. What can we do to make this more automatic within the scope of our day to day if we need it or want it? Let's take about 3 more rounds of breath, just as we are. Maybe taking in the sounds or the scents or any sensations that may be coming in. And then let's take a few rounds of breath that are just a little bit deeper, just intentionally more pronounced. And also take a moment to notice what impact, if any, that may be having on the layers of yourself that you brought with you to the mat today. And then when you're ready, let's invite some movement into the body by maybe starting to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Maybe starting to circle the wrists and the ankles, taking those movements in one direction and then reversing that direction. And then if you brought some props underneath your knees, maybe gently bend at the knee to give yourself some space to slide it out of the way. And if you are in another shape, if you would be so kind as to meet us on your back, if that is something that you would like to do today. Just take a moment to bend at the knee and bring the soles of your feet to touch the mat. Maybe gently sliding them out to the width of your mat and allowing them to knock in towards one another for a moment. And then stay there or separate the knees and then allow them to fall over towards the right. Just sliding things out of the way if things are blocking your path, and inhale them back up towards the center and fall over towards the left in this windshield wiper movement. Noticing your natural range of movement of movement and not forcing yourself to take any movements that don't feel just right. And so maybe your knees make it down to the floor and maybe they hover somewhere midway. And know that that is okay. Take maybe two more rounds of left and right. And then the next time your knees make it up towards the center, bringing both knees in towards the chest and maybe bringing the palms to your shins or interlacing the fingers if your arms are long enough for that. And then slowly rock from side to side, noticing any sensations that you may be feeling in your lower back or your shoulders as they move across the floor. The next time you come back to center, let's keep the right knee in towards the body and extend the left leg long on the floor. Maybe flexing the foot and pointing the toes up towards the ceiling. And then if you notice your left leg falling out towards the left side, can you slightly rotate it in a little bit? And then gently pull your right knee in towards the body. If your ribs or belly are in the way, know that you can pull that knee out to the right and pull down towards your armpit. And then let's flex the right foot also. And maybe take some circles with the foot in one direction. And then take some in the opposite direction. And then maybe take a moment to flex and point the foot, just noticing anywhere that you may be feeling that. And then come to stillness and give your knee a squeeze, either pulling it gently a little more towards the torso or towards the shoulder. And then at the bottom of your next exhale, slowly release the leg down to meet the left leg and just pause here for a moment. Just noticing any differences that you may be feeling between the right side and the left. And then at the bottom of your next exhale, let's walk the feet back towards the body. And this time, let's lift the left knee up towards the chest, interlacing the fingers perhaps, and placing the palms on the outside of the shin. And then gently straighten the right leg, flexing the foot and pointing the toes up towards the ceiling as you pull very gently the right knee in towards the body. Maybe flexing the foot for a breath, and then taking some circles with your foot or your ankle in one direction, and then taking it in the opposite direction, pointing and flexing and noticing where you may be feeling that. And at the bottom of the next exhale, gently pull the knee in just a little bit more. And then slowly release the leg, sending the left leg out to meet the right, allowing the feet to fall out to the side for a breath. At the bottom of the next exhale, let's walk the feet back into the body one more time. This time, let's lift the right knee towards the body and turn the right shin so that we can place the ankle on the left thigh. Either using your right hand to push the thigh away from the body or just using your muscles to make that movement. Just can you slide your knee and thigh away from you a little bit? And stay there or allow the left knee to rise and come in towards the body, maybe interlacing the fingers on the back of the thigh. And then let's take that rocking motion side to side there, if that feels okay. One more round of breath, either rocking left and right or in stillness. And then let's exhale to release the left foot down to the floor. Allow the right foot to meet it. And then this time, shifting your hips if you need to. Let's bring the left knee in towards the body and turn so that the ankle can rest on the right thigh below the knee. And then using your left hand to push the thigh away, or just energetically sending your thigh away, staying there, or lifting the right knee up and in towards the body, interlacing the fingers behind the thigh, staying here in stillness, or how would it feel to rock left and right? And then notice what your feet are doing. Are your feet flexed and toes pointed towards the ceiling? Or are they doing something else? Let's take one more breath, right and left, and then lower the right foot, lower the left foot, heel toe the feet out to the side, and allow the knees to fall in towards one another. One more time. Let's take 3 rounds of breath here. And then when you're ready, on the next in breath, allow the knees to separate, maybe heel toeing the feet in towards one another and bringing the soles of the feet to touch, and allow your knees to fall out to either side. I'll only be here for a few breaths, but if there are any props, if you've got some blocks near you and you'd like to slide them underneath your thighs just to catch some of the effort that is being extended because your gravity is pulling your knees down, and I invite you to do that. Otherwise, let's take 2 more rounds of breath here. And then using your hands to guide your knees and your thighs back towards one another. Let's work our way up to a seated shape in any way that makes sense for you. And so that may look like just rolling over to your favorite side and taking a moment in the fetal shape before pushing yourself up to a seat, or crossing at the ankles and rocking forwards and backwards until you make it up to a seated shape. Let's take a moment here. Maybe your left calf is stacked in front of your right shin. I have no idea what I just said. One leg may be in front of the other. I'm like, left, right. Take a moment to allow your body to recalibrate, because sometimes some things happen when we go from one position to another. I think my brain just experienced that. And maybe your palms are face down on your knees, or they may have fallen face up in a gesture of receiving. Maybe your eyes are closed or slowly, softly lowered. Maybe you notice your shoulders relaxing and sinking down towards the floor as you lift up through your spine, like you're trying to send the top of your head through the top of the sky if you're outside, or the top of the ceiling if you're inside. 2 more rounds of breath, just like that. And then when you're ready, allow your palms to face downward. Let's take the right arm and extend it out to the side, allowing the fingertips to touch the ground. And let's send the opposite, the left ear, down towards the shoulder. I'm just pausing there for a moment, just noticing how that feels. And then maybe lifting the left hand and placing it on the outside of the right side of the head and just allowing that slight weight and slight pressure. See if that offers you something. A little sensation is good, a lot of sensation is no good. And let's release the head if you have that and extend your head up towards the ceiling, dropping the left hand down towards the floor. Then let's drop the right ear towards the right shoulder. And just pausing for a moment to notice how that feels. And perhaps lifting the right hand up and over to the left side of the head and just allowing the weight of your hand to offer just a little extra as gravity pulls you in that direction. Notice whether or not your shoulder is hunched up towards your ear and allow it to relax. Exhale to release the head, release the hand back down to the mat. And then let's inhale, lift the hands up and overhead, and exhale them down through heart center. Let's take that 2 more times, just like that. Inhale to lift and exhale them down through heart center. And one more time. Inhale to lift and exhale to heart center. Let's drop the right hand down next to the right thigh and inhale to lift the left hand up and over towards the right side. Inhale, both hands up towards the sky and drop the left hand down and fold over towards the right. I'll take that 2 more times on your own breath, each side, and just noticing how things feel along that side body and noticing whether or not there are any places that you just kind of want to hang out for a few breaths. Once you have finished your last rotation, then inhale, lift your fingers up towards the sky, and then exhale to fall forward, allowing the palms of the fingertips to graze the floor. Allow your head to get heavy. 2 rounds of breath here. And then when you're ready, slowly walk your fingers towards the body and then allow them to keep going. Flip the fingers so that they're facing the back of the room or the back of the deck. And then can you open up across your chest and rotate your shoulders out. And then take a small back bend here. Maybe your gaze is up towards the ceiling or towards the sky. And then exhale and return yourself to a seated upright shape. And just take a moment here. And then let's work our way into all fours and meet me in tabletop position. In this tabletop position, just notice whether or not your shoulders are stacked over your wrists and take a moment to look and see where your hips are. Are they stacked over your knees? Are your toes tucked or your feet flexed so that the tops of your feet are on the mat? Doesn't matter, just noticing. And then from here, what movements is your body telling you that it needs? Does it want to start with this side to side? motion, or would it like some cat cows? You could ask it, or you could just kind of try out a couple of different things. Or maybe you invent something that's like a cat cow and a side to side. Maybe you take some circles. Take out 3 more rounds of breath and whatever you've chosen. And then come to stillness in your table. And let's slide the left hand so that it's right underneath your eyes. And then inhale and lift the right arm up towards the sky. And let's exhale that right hand down and around, coming underneath the left armpit and extend the left arm long. Coming up onto the fingertips, maybe, or maybe you're down on your palm. If you're up on your fingertips, perhaps you uh, might like to experiment with walking the fingertips over towards the right side of the mat and just noticing how that feels. And then if you walk your fingertips over towards the right, let's bring them back towards the left and slide the left hand in so that it's where it originally was. And then let's inhale the right arm back up towards the sky. Exhale that hand down to replace the left hand. And then let's inhale the left hand up towards the sky. Now on that exhale, let's bring it down and around underneath the right armpit, extending the right arm long overhead. Maybe your palm is down, or maybe you're on your fingertips. And if you're on your fingertips, maybe you want to walk that right hand over towards the left side of the mat. And just notice what that offers you. At the bottom of the next exhale, let's walk those fingertips back towards the right and slide the hand back into its original shape before pushing down through the palm and relifting the left hand up towards the sky. Exhale to release that palm down to the floor, and then return the hand so that they are stacked underneath the shoulders. And then from here, walk your hands forward about one hand's distance so that when you shift your hips forward, that you're in this modified plank. Those shoulders stacked over your wrists, or maybe right below, right over. And then can you bring your elbows in towards your body, and then bending at the elbow, slowly lower all the way down towards the mat. Walking your toes back and giving yourself some space, and then come all the way down onto your belly, stacking one palm on top of the other. And we'll take a breath or two here in this crocodile. Tops of feet can be on the mat, or you might want to play with tucking the toes and lifting the thighs off the mat. And just noticing how that feels. And maybe you hold that for a couple rounds of breath, or maybe this is a more relaxed pose where the tops of feet are on the floor and you just breathe. One more complete round of breath here. And then when you're ready, can you extend your right arm out towards the right side? And then bring your left hand in just underneath your shoulder on the other side of your torso. And then can you use that hand to help generate some movement where you roll over onto your right thigh and bring your left leg behind you, maybe planting the sole of the foot on the floor, ceiling, knee pointed up towards the ceiling. And if you'd like to go a little bit further, then maybe you bring your left hand in a little closer towards the body and roll over onto that shoulder. And check to see that you don't have any tension in your neck. And one more round of breath here. And then at the bottom of the next exhale, let's release that pose and come all the way back down to center. Restacking the hands underneath the head. Maybe the opposite hand is on top this time. Again, taking this as a relaxed posture or flipping the toes and lifting through the thighs. And just holding that shape for a few breaths. And if you're extended through your thighs, then slowly release them and bring the tops of your feet down to the floor. And then give yourself a little bit of space, lifting your head and your chest. Let's extend the left arm out towards the left side. Bring the right hand underneath the shoulders and in front of the torso, and then use that to help send you over your left thigh. Bringing your right foot and leg behind you, bringing the sole of the right foot down towards the mat, and sending the right knee up towards the ceiling or the sky. And 3 rounds of breath here. Just noticing anywhere that you may be feeling that sensation. At the bottom of the next exhale, let's release that pose and slowly roll back over through center. Bringing the hands under head one more time. 2 more rounds of breath. And then when you're ready, slowly lift your head and your chest off the floor. And let's slide the elbows back so that they're underneath the shoulders. And prop yourself up onto your forearms. Spread your fingers wide. And maybe rotate your right hand out towards the right a little bit, your left hand out towards the left a little bit. And then exhale into your Sphinx pose. One more round of breath. And at the bottom of your next exhale, slowly lower yourself down to the mat. Slide your hands in underneath your shoulders. Tuck the toes and send your hips backwards to this variation of a child's pose. Maybe bringing forehead or the top of your head down to the floor. Perhaps coming up onto the fingertips and walking the fingertips forward while you send your hips back. And then at the bottom of the next exhale, let's release that pose and walk the hands back towards the knees. Shift the hips from side to side if that feels good. And then if your toes are still tucked, leave them there. If they're not, go ahead and tuck the toes. And let's send the hips up and backwards for downward facing dog. Choosing to take this downward facing dog in stillness or inviting some movement, maybe alternating through sending the left heel down towards the mat and then the right. Keeping a generous bend in the knee to alleviate any pressure that you may be feeling along the back of the legs. And then come to stillness. Take one more complete round of breath. And then when you're ready, start to walk your hands back towards your feet. And then pause. And maybe you have a generous bend in the knees. And maybe your hands want to lift up and take opposite elbows. And then whether you have opposite elbows or whether your fingertips are on the mat, maybe you want to sway from side to side. And maybe you don't. So if your body is saying yes, then let's go with that flow. And if it's not, then let's not. Let's listen to what our body is telling us to do. And if you chose to rock from side to side, let's take another breath there and then come to stillness. Maybe releasing the elbows and bending at the knee and slowly rising up to a standing shape. Taking a moment when you rise at the top, allowing your head to be the last thing to come up, and standing here really strong in your mountain pose. Maybe your palms are open up towards the front of your mat. Maybe they're facing your thighs. It doesn't matter as long as you notice what you're doing. One more round of breath here. And then at the bottom of your next exhale, let's inhale to lift the palms up or the fingertips up towards the sky. Exhale, bringing the palms down through heart center as you fold forward. Inhale to halfway lift. And then exhale to fold forward. On the next inhale, let's rise all the way up to standing, bringing the palms through heart center and then down by your side. And we'll take that 2 more times. Inhale to rise and exhale to fold forward. Inhale to lift halfway. Exhale to fold. Let's inhale and rise all the way up through standing. Exhale, hands through heart center and down by your side. One more time on your own breath. And 3 rounds of breath in your mountain pose. At the bottom of the next exhale, let's inhale the palms up once again and exhale to fold forward. Let's pause here, keeping a bend in your knee. Walk your fingertips forward and return to downward facing dog. Once again, choosing to take this in stillness or in movement. Maybe keeping a bend in your knee and sending your torso back towards your thighs. Maybe noticing where the weight is concentrated in your hands and your feet. Maybe taking a moment to just drop the head and shake it left and right, and forwards and back for a yes, no type response. And then after your next complete breath, let's drop the knees down to the mat, bring them out wide, bring toes into touch, and send your hips back for child's pose. 3 rounds of breath in this child's pose. And then when you're ready, slowly rise, bringing your knees in towards one another and walking your hands back for table. From here, let's lift the right knee and step the right foot on the outside of the right hand for this lizard shape. Staying up here on your hands, or maybe checking to see whether or not you need to move your right leg back and give yourself some space. And then decide if you want to stay here. Option to stay on your hands. Option to turn your right um, foot on its side and add some weight to your right thigh to send it outwards. Or option to come down onto your forearms. Notice the sensations that you're feeling. If it's causing a yes response, then stay with it. If it's causing a no response, then let's do something else. And if there's a maybe going on, what adjustments can you make to decide definitively whether or not it's a yes or a no? And 3 more rounds of breath here. And then if you're on your forearms, take a moment to lift yourself up onto your palms. And then sliding the right hand out of the way, can you heel toe the right foot over towards the left side of the mat and bring your shin down for pigeon? Same options here, staying up on the palms or coming down onto the forearms, or maybe even lowering yourself down to your palms that are stacked one on top of the other. Maybe you wiggle a little bit, or maybe you take this in complete stillness. If you're feeling a lot of space or emptiness because your right hip is not reaching the mat, if you have a block nearby, then you can fill that space. I don't know about you guys, but I tend to hold a lot of my stress in my hips. And so sometimes breathing through these postures, I can actually feel it leaving the body. Two more rounds of breath. And then when you're ready, slowly rise if you were down on the mat. If you've brought some props with you, slide them out of the way. Let's tuck the left toes and lift the left leg off the mat. And then send the right foot and leg back to meet the left for downward facing dog. You might definitely feel like you need to pedal it out for your right leg. So I invite you to do that. And then when you feel like you have completed the cycle that you started, let's lower the knees back down to the mat and send the knees wide, bring the toes into touch, and sit back for child's pose. Two more rounds of breath here, and then we'll complete the cycle that we started on the other side. When you're ready, let's inhale to rise back up to table, making whatever adjustments you need to make. Maybe shifting your hips from side to side on the way. And then let's lift the left knee for the purpose of sending the left foot out on the outside of the left hand. Make any adjustments that feel necessary and that may be coming up on the right toes and shifting the right leg back to give yourself some space, and then um, bringing the top of that right foot back down to the mat. And then decide what you want to do here on the left. And so that may be staying right here on your hands exactly as you are, or even bringing some blocks with you to bring the floor up closer to you. Or that may be coming onto the side of that left foot and using your left hand to push the thigh away. Or maybe your sole is flat and you come down onto your forearms. Or maybe you've decided not to do lizard at all. And that is totally okay. Give you what you need. Sometimes just being here in community and deciding to do your own thing and express um, our own personal movement style is enough, or even better. One more round of breath here. And then let's come up onto the palms and give yourself some space so that you can slide the left foot over towards the right side of the mat and bring the left shin down. Maybe even being able to slide the right leg back a little bit more and staying here on your pushing up through your palms, or perhaps coming down onto your forearms, or lowering your head down to the mat, into your hands that are stacked on top of one another. Again, if your left hip feels like it's too lifted off the mat, perhaps bringing a block underneath that hip to, what do you call it, rise the floor, bring the floor up to to meet you where you are. My brain is not making words today. And maybe any sensation that you feel, you can imagine is stress leaving the body. One more complete round of breath here. And then when you're ready, slowly rise, pushing yourself up onto your palms, sliding any props that you may have out of the way, tucking the right toes and lifting the right leg off the mat. And then let's send the left foot back to meet the right for downward facing dog. Pedaling it out if that feels good. And then when you're ready, slowly lower your knees down to the mat one more time, bringing them wide and bringing toes into touch for child's pose. 3 rounds of breath here. When you're ready, slowly rise, walking your Hands back towards your knees, and then sliding your knees over to one side so that you can come down onto your bottom and making any adjustments that you need to make so that you can work your way down to your back. Maybe soles of the feet are planted on the mat and knees are facing up. Let's lift the left foot up towards the sky and then lift the right foot up towards the sky. And allow the arms to fall by the side or cactus the arms above the head. And let's just hang out here in this waterfall for 5 rounds of breath. And when you're ready, on the way down, take any final movements that you feel inspired to take to complete your practice. And so that may be lowering the knees by the side or towards the shoulders and grabbing your toes for happy baby, or lowering everything down to the mat, legs long, or maybe even bringing, if you used a prop at the beginning of practice, to place under your knees and take a few breaths in Shavasana. 5 more rounds of breath. And before you invite movement back into your body, let's take 3 more rounds of breath that are just intentionally a little bit deeper. And take a moment to do a scan and just notice how you feel and think about what aspects of your practice today helped you get there and what can be easily implemented in your day as you move forward off your mat to bring you back if the need arises. When you're ready, in any way that makes sense for you, work your way up to a seated shape. Taking a few more rounds of breath in any way that feels nurturing to you in this moment. And then when you're ready, perhaps bringing palms to touch and thumbs at heart center, thanking yourself for giving you this time and this space and this opportunity to disrupt the stress cycles in your life, or just to come and connect and fellowship with those of us who share the same goals. Until we meet again, the light in me sees and honors the light in you. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.